is, and y'all know how I do. It's your baby, Big DZ. And today, I have a serious guest, man, a thorough sister. Matter of fact, let me let her introduce herself. This is my sister, Jay Renee. Tell them who you are, Jay. Let them know what's going on.
What's up, y'all? My name is Jay Renee with Hip Hop Humanism and Hip Hop Humanism Radio. Some of the things that I do is I'm a project manager. I make programs for children absolutely free to them to have mentorship and things to do. Also promote positive hip hop because I believe hip hop is directly logged in and plugged into the hood. I believe hip hop is supposed to be in the hood, so that's something that I promote.
Jay,
And
where you from? Where you from, Jay?
I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware, but some of my friends call me a gypsy. You know, I move around, so that's what I do.
A gypsy. All right. So there y'all have it. That is Sister Jay Renee, real powerful presence on that internet for all you millennials. I know you've probably seen her, and if not, you will be seeing her. And as well, she's in the field, doing what she does there. Speaking about in the field, she's also a military woman. Jay, would you touch on that for a few seconds?
I'm retired from the United States Army. I did 2 tours in Iraq, and I used to lead soldiers on, the state lines and in the battlefield.
Wow. So there you have it. I'm Big DZ. And of course, I've been on several battlefields myself in the streets and unfortunately in the penitentiaries. But I'm sitting next to another soldier, and salute to this sister, and she's been in Afghanistan. Yeah, so this is definitely real. I guess this is a meeting of the mind of super duper troopers. And we're about to bring you guys our perspectives of what's going on today here on the Timeless Thomas Show. So our first topic, or at least one of our first topics, dealing with current events and everything, let's get right into all of this protesting and the fella George Floyd, who seems to be a martyr, I guess. He has bore the cross that now, he's like the Christ. His blood has freed a lot of us in some ways. Touch on that, Jay. It's protesting and it's George. Touch on that, please.
Well, I don't feel like he was a martyr because he didn't really volunteer. But I do feel like he was the last straw. When the situation happened with him, it was as if the police in America was trying to, I always say, play in my face. And what I mean by that is we all watched the video, we watched what happened, but it was like they were trying to not make it be what it was. So it was kind of like the last straw that was on that camel's back that broke it wide open. And you had protesters and you have rioters and looters, which are 2 different people, even though a lot of times people try to link them in together.
Let's go right into that, because I know I have my own feelings and perspective about the rioting and the looting and the things to follow the assassination of George Floyd. So we had the rioting, we had the looting. Right. What is the difference in your opinion, or in your mind, or in your knowledge of knowledges?
Well, looters, that's like, you can use the dictionary definition of that. That's what they do. And then you have rioters, which usually go to locations to cause havoc, to cause destruction. Then you have protesters, people that are there to, use their First Amendment rights for freedom of speech, and they're trying to get something changed. And they know that when they built it, when they come together, their voice is a lot more loud. I think that protesters can turn into rioters. I don't know if rioters can turn into protesters.
So they're not interchangeable. Okay. And that's cool, and that's fair. My perspective of it all, this is how I feel personally. I feel that it's been long overdue. Like you spoke and you said that George Floyd, in fact, was the final straw of many straws. I feel as though it's been long overdue. Our people have been getting beaten and kicked and raped and robbed for so many years. It's almost become a norm.
Right.
And
I think that, I think about that a lot. I wish that I would have started this path a lot sooner. From being in the military, I was in there for an extended period of time. And when you're in the military, for lack of a better word, you're kind of sheltered from the world. Like, you don't really necessarily what's going on outside of the military, but you know everything that's going on within. So it's definitely been a long time coming. I feel like the civil rights movement was the start, and it's time to finish it up. And the time is now. We have our millennials that are actively involved, very, very smart, So that's how I'm feeling about that.
right. So let me ask you this, Jay. With our youth, because that's basically who stepped up and did the actual muscle. The millennials. I feel as though that they were the children and the direct descendants of, for lack of better wording, I call it the pill poppers, because the crackheads and I'm using negative terms, but these are terms that are reality. It was the crackhead generation that gave birth to the pill poppers, and the pill poppers gave birth to the homicidal maniacs with suicidal tendencies. Unfortunately, this is what our babies are, serial killers. So, but they got it right. I feel like this generation, they got it right. They got the old Ku Klux Klan turning over and flipping over in their graves, and they're mad because most of their grandchildren are mixed. You understand what I'm saying? So they had just as many blacks and whites together fighting on the front line and looting together and polluting together and trying to stand for something together. And this is something that Martin Luther King, peace and blessings be upon him, this was his dream. That little black kids and white girls and white boys would come together. Well, Martin, that was his thing, and it's finally happening. It's actually coming to pass right now. What do you feel about that, and if anything?
You know what? A long time ago, I had heard a quote from Savage 21, and he said that what's wrong with us is your fault. And when he said your fault, he meant the people my age. I'm 38, up to your age. You know what I mean? And I believe that. Like, when he said it, like, I honestly felt that way, because I know that when I left my neighborhood, I left to get away from it. And I wasn't at an age of maturity where I thought to save or help the children or help my people. I was just like, I ain't feeling it. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to be on, XYZ, and I bounced. You know what I mean? So I think that we have a responsibility now that we might not be able to help the ones that we might not have helped when we were younger, but we have the ability to help their children and help them as much as we can. It's much easier to help children, especially before the age of 9, than it is for an adult that's already grown and has, how they feel about stuff.
I think I got you. So you're basically saying it's easier to prepare and guide a child than to repair and redirect an adult.
Right. I think that we should still do the repair as far as taking care of our mental health. But one of my biggest things, anybody that pays attention to what I do, is focusing on our youth, because they are a clean slate. So we can help guide them to be who they need to be, help them figure out who they want to be in a positive space. And they're like our most precious resource. You know what I mean?
Wait right there, Jake. Give me 5 seconds, because this is where I have to come back in with this. Cheer! Y'all know what it is, and y'all know how I do. This is Jay Renee. Do y'all feel the energy? She said our youth is a clean slate. This means we have the opportunity to mold them and shape them and teach them who they are, who they could be, find out what they want to be. And yeah, our youth is the future. So it very much is important, because they're the leaders of the new school. So let's get right in to the next topic. And this is something that I personally wanted you to touch on, Jay, because when you touched on this, it brought me to tears. And I started letting other people see your video, because you have been in war, Can you teach our people and whoever else is listening what to do in case you're hit in the battlefield? Because there's a lot of bullets flying around. What advice can you give somebody who gets hit and maybe can't make it to the hospital?
Okay. If you're in a situation where you see someone injured, you need to try to assist them. Now it's very scary, but you can definitely do it. You want to take some deep breaths yourself. When the first time when you walk up to someone that's injured, you want to see if they're coherent. You want to say something to them, hey, are you okay? If you know their name, say their name. If they are responsive, that is when you ask them where they've been hurt at, because you might not be able to see, but they might be able to feel. So you want to talk to them, and you want to talk to them calmly. And one of the things that you want to make sure you say is, you're going to be okay. I'm going to help you. You want to help keep them calm, because if they start to panic, not only could they possibly bleed out because their heart is pumping harder, they could go into shock. Ooh. So you want to encourage them. So you want to find their injuries. So let me tell you this. If they're unconscious, you want to see if they're breathing. So one way to check if someone is breathing and they're just laying there is you want to put your face very, very close to their lips and their nose. So that way you can feel the breathing on your face. So while you're doing this, your eyes should be looking down towards their feet. So when you're looking down towards their feet, you're trying to see if their chest is rising and falling. And it might be very, very slight. But with the breath on your face and watching for the chest, you'll be able to see if they can breathe. Now, if they are breathing and they're unconscious, and even if they are conscious, you want to try to find their injuries. So maybe they don't know. So if you can't see them, one technique you want to do is you want to take both of your hands and you want to go down their body, including all of their limbs. And when you pull your hands out, you're going to be looking for blood. So I'm going to give you an example. So see how I'm doing this? See how I'm doing this? Looking at my hands. So say he had on a long sleeve shirt, he had on a jacket. So I'm looking for blood. So if I find the injury, so you have different types of injuries. You might have a flesh wound. You might have a through and through. You might have something that hits a major nerve. You might have something that needs, some real protection. So you need to know how to bandage them things.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do I get a ride to Rite Aid and buy some bandages?
Nah, when things are happening really fast, you're not going to have the ability to go get first aid stuff. But you have lots of first aid stuff around you. For example, I have on this sweater. So if something happened to someone that was injured, I could take my sweater off and I could actually rip this. This is a bandage. This is padding. And that goes back to the different types of injuries. So if you have something that's pretty simple, but you want to cover it up, you don't want it to get infected and stuff into it, you're going to do something that's called a field dressing. And that's just you want to cover the wound completely. You don't want none of it exposed. And you're going to tie a non-slip knot on the side. And then you'll tuck it in. So that way it's very neat and tidy. You know what I'm saying? So say you have a through and through and it's just bleeding. The person might not bleed to death, but it needs a little more assistance. So that's when you would do a pressure dressing, and it's almost like a field dressing, but it's a little different.
Okay.
So you would use padding, and it could be any type of padding. It could be a shirt that you ripped up. It could be socks. It could be drawers. It could be a scarf. It could be pants. It could be anything. You're trying to save somebody's life, so you need to not have any vanity sake. Like, you might have to take the shirt off your back, but if you can save this person's life, that's what you do.
Thinking quick, moving quick.
Right. So you got to, you're gonna apply pressure to it. If they're you gotta apply pressure to it. If they're alive, have them help you. You know what I mean? Like, don't just have them laying there.
Right.
You talk to them. Hey, hold this right here. You're gonna be okay. Just hold this right here, and that's applying pressure. So you need pressure.
And the important part is to let them know that they're okay, so that they don't panic and we compound the problem.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna move past that, but that was a serious topic, and I just wanted you to touch on it, Jay, because
I definitely can talk about it.
I need people to Google the rest of that information, because this is what you call life-saving information.
Right. But can I say one more thing?
You have to.
If someone is bleeding out and you think that they're going to die, you need to apply a tourniquet, okay? And what a tourniquet is going to do is going to stop them from bleeding out. So you never want to put it on a joint. You want to put it 2 inches above or 2 inches below. So, for example, say I'm bleeding out from here, okay? I wouldn't want to try to, I'm going to say right here because this is a better example. Say I'm bleeding out from here. You want to put the tourniquet way up here.
Okay.
Like, you want to save as much as the person's limb as you can.
Okay.
So you want to put it I will put it right here. And you want to turn it as tight as you can. Remember, I say you use like a stick or something like that. You do a non-slip knot on top of the wound. You get another rigid object, a stick, a metal bar, anything like that. You tie another non-slip knot on top of that, and you twist it and you twist it until the bright red blood stops flowing. And then you tuck in the sides, mark on a T on their forehead what time you put it on there.
Whoa. Now, what am I going to do? Again, am I going to run to the art store and buy a magic marker to write this T on their forehead?
No, you if you don't have nothing to write with, which you probably won't, you use their blood.
Wow. Wow. There you all have it. Right here, Timeless Thomas brings you the goods. And I'm telling you, I just want you to go back in your mind and remember the last time somebody taught you how to make a tourniquet. Okay? That's right. So listen, Jay, this is it's always a beautiful energy that me and you share. Let's get into some of the other topics that came right off of the George Floyd thing. This is not what came off of, but this was connected to the final straw. This police brutality. Now let's just talk about that for a minute. These police are having, and this is a disclaimer. This is strictly for the Thomas County. I'm not saying that all police are bad. I don't like cops. I ain't gonna tell you that I do. But I'm not saying that all police are bad at all, because there's some very, very good ones. And there's some very, very whatever. But I am saying that there's some cold-blooded assassins. You know, they're the Blue Klux Klan. There are some cops, man, that their agenda is to air you the fuck out. Their agenda is to make sure you don't make it home to your family that night. What is called as a modern day lynching. You know what I mean? When they pull you over, you know what I mean, because your turn signal wasn't right, they're thinking, you know what I mean, can I kill a nigger today? So what do you think about this police brutality? And tell us a little bit about that, because I know you have some military experience and guns and police. And talk to us, Jay.
I'm going to be honest.
Talk to me, too. Give it, let's, you know what I mean?
I'm going to be honest. The police have been out of control for a very long time. So everybody seems to know that. And most of the time when you watch these videos, you're looking at them from an emotional standpoint. So I would say maybe in December, maybe November, I started to think of it more objectively. I wanted to know, what were the procedures of the police? Did they have a use of force, a use of escalation policy? What was it that was allowing these police officers to assault people and nothing was happening? So that's when I started to research them. I found out they have the use of force continuum laws. And when I learned that and I started to learn more about what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do, when I look at videos, I look at them objectively more than emotionally. I see them breaking the law.
Well, let me ask you a question. You said the use of force continuum law. Give us an overview of what that means.
The use of force continuum is like bylaws that the police are supposed to follow when they're dealing with citizens. And it is 6 steps. And most of the time you will see, if you take the time to learn these things, you will see that most police officers do not follow these rules. They don't follow their own bylaws. That is one issue, but the biggest issue is when they don't follow them, nothing happens. So with nothing, no consequences, why should you do the standard? Why should you do the right thing? Why should you have any fear in bringing your racism to work when nothing's going to happen? Wow. When you can break your own rules and it's just nobody within that system cares.
There's no repercussions.
Right. It's just like, another day on the job, another day.
Wow. Yeah. These are topics. Unfortunately, we only have a select amount of time because we can talk about police brutality for decades. Okay? Now, let's move right along, but that's very, very serious, the police continuum, and I believe, again, you guys need to Google it. You guys need to know these things. Knowledge is king. Knowledge is power. We're supposed to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, okay? Some people say, well, I went to the school of hard knocks. Guess what? I still attend. Every day is school for Big DZ, because I try to learn something every day. That way I don't have to pay what the price tag say. All right. Juneteenth. Now, this is a fairly new whoop-de-doo. What is your take?
It is not new. Juneteenth is not new.
Well, it's new to me. What is your take on this Juneteenth?
I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I gave up the 4th of July while I was still a service member.
Okay.
Because I just thought of it logically, and it made no sense to me. It was like America was free from the British, cool, but black people were still slaves. And when I used to live in Louisiana, that's when I first heard of Juneteenth, okay? So I started to do more research in that, and I heard the story about how it was 2 years after Lincoln, got rid of slavery that these other slaves found out that they were free. So in my opinion, Juneteenth is a remembering and a celebration of the slaves that were enslaved at that time got the freedom on the land.
Okay.
They were free to walk off the plantation. Now, it's a lot more that goes with that because anybody that knows history knows that you had indentured servants
Okay.
that was damn near like slaves. Like this isn't one of those other topics that we could talk about for a long time. But I don't have an issue with Juneteenth. And I don't have an issue with the 4th of July if people want to observe that. It's weird to me that black people do, but that's their business. Like it doesn't affect me, and I don't care on a deep level. Like
I'm gonna, if I talk about the way I feel about European holidays and pagan holidays, I'm gonna lose a lot of viewers. People are gonna start hopping out the window and saying, "Hey, I don't want Timeless Thomas within 50 feet of anything I'm doing."
Right.
So I'm gonna leave my opinions. I'm gonna reserve the right to leave my opinions to themselves. But as an overall, I don't celebrate anything that the slave master has to do. If he's got his hands in it, I don't want any parts of it. I do not agree with the slave master teaching my children. I try to unlearn everything he's taught me and learn some new stuff. So anyway,
let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
So when you say Juneteenth is like pretty much manufactured by people that don't look like us, why do you feel like that? Or what?
Well, because the reason why I feel like that is because it's just another state holiday. It's just another day that they gave us. Like you can't give me a day to celebrate anything.
Okay, but even if they didn't acknowledge it at all, June 19th was the date that it happened.
Well,
so it still will be the date whether the state or the federal or anybody said anything.
Well, yeah, but in actuality, we're not free. So we can start with that. That in itself is watered down. We're not free. So as a people, we're so far from free. And like you always say, especially, God forbid you become a criminal or do some type of crime and have to go to jail. Like you say, the 13th Amendment of the Constitution says neither slavery nor servitude will something. And then
They're pretty much saying you a slave.
Yeah, you become a slave once you go to the penitentiary legally. You know what I mean? On the paperwork. You know what I mean? Per the Constitution.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, what people do need to understand, this is on a deeper level, and usually people learn this when they go to jail and they go to the law library and they get to studying the right stuff. The Constitution is not really effective anymore. You know what I mean? What's in effect now is the Patriot Act, and that's been since 9/11. So they use the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act is this thick, but it more so cosigns martial law. So they're using, it's like a terrorist act. So anything that they want to run down on you for, they could just say, "Oh, it was a terrorist threat," and kick your door in with no warrant or shoot you because you got a cell phone and whatever else. But just to know, so we're not going to lean too much towards the Constitution because they're not even leaning on it. However, it is still in play, but it's just, losing its weight.
I'm a former highly decorated Philadelphia police officer, so I know how police officers get down when they want to be corrupt. When I say that most police officers are good and only a few are bad, why don't the good ones like me hold the bad ones accountable? I'm going to say it again. Why won't the good cops like me hold the bad ones accountable? So as long as you don't hold the bad ones accountable, as long as you keep your mouth shut, then you're just as bad as the bad ones. You're just as bad as the bad ones. Now we have an Attorney General here, Kathleen Jennings. We had a meeting with her, and she said that she's going to do some reform that we had suggested. We're going to have confidence in her that she's going to do what she says. I helped get 9 police officers across the country locked up. The ministers brought me in. The black ministers brought me into Baltimore. I did an independent investigation into what happened to Freddie Gray, gave my results to the prosecutor, helped get 6 cops locked up there. I'm a former Philadelphia police officer, and a cop by the name of Ryan Poundhouse, white officer, shot a guy in the back. I helped get that cop locked up. Even though I'm a former Philadelphia police officer, I helped get 2 cops locked up in New Jersey. A cop that did what he did to David Castellini, and I did the independent investigation into Yaheem Harris. You heard his mother, John, to talk earlier. What I want to show you is what your Wilmington Police Department said in their investigation into Yaheem Harris. What they said was, there was a certain point when he got out of a vehicle, it took him 2 seconds to get into the alley, he's trying to run away, that he had a black object in his hand. And James McCall, Senior Corporal James McCall, said at that moment is when I fired 4 shots. I have a still picture that they did not release to the defense. It's from the pizza shop. If you look at this picture, this is the moment that James McCall said he shot Yaheem Harris, her son. As you see, his back is to the officer, and the officer's gun is pointed in the air. Like this. So he didn't fire no shots then. He didn't fire any shots right at that point. And within a second, Yaheem Harris was in the alley. As you can see, his back is to the officer. Yaheem Harris, John's son, was shot above his heart, below his heart, in his chest cavity over here, and up under his arm. It is impossible at this moment that he shot him. I figured it out, y'all. He shot him as soon as he got out of the vehicle. When he turned to go out of the vehicle, he shot Yaheem Harris 4 times. And the Wilmington Police Department cleared James McCall, the officer. Unfortunately, the Attorney General's office cleared the officer. But Attorney General Kathleen Jennings is reopening the investigation. I'm going to say it again. Attorney General Kathleen Jennings reopened the investigation. I've been interviewed, I shared the information, and there's only a matter of time before this officer gets locked up. What I'm going to say in closing is, in the meantime, Senior Corporal James McCall filed for a service-connected disability. He said that he's suffering from PTSD from shooting an unarmed black man. So I'm going to tell the Attorney General, and I know she's going to do the right thing. Let's do it with expediency. And also I want to tell you that the family of Jeremy McDougal asked me to do an independent investigation into what happened to the family of Jeremy McDougal. Let me just take a second with this. I talked to the mother, and she asked me to do the independent investigation. Long story short, my investigation just ended, and I have something that no one of you have. I have an uncut version of her son being shot. He was unarmed. So Kathleen Jennings is going to open up another investigation, reopen it, and those 4 officers they need to get locked the fuck up. Thank you.
Shit, y'all know what it is, and y'all definitely know how I do. It's Big DZ, and I'm back. And I'm going to tell y'all something right now. This is so serious, okay? Now, this launched one more topic that we need to get right on, Jay. Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
How you feel about that? Because it's a cliche now, but so that's actual reality. What do you feel about that?
You know, the Black Lives Matter thing is really interesting to me because the most interesting and sad thing is to watch people argue about it that all look the same. Black Lives Matter started to fight against police brutality, but I think people forget that it doesn't have to stay that things can evolve, they can get better. So of course Black Lives Matter when it's black on black crime, it matters when, things in our community and stuff like that. So it always rubs me the wrong way when people want to show somebody black doing crime or talk about black on black crime, like, and then say, but Black Lives Matter. Like, yeah, they do. Like, they don't have nothing to do with each other. Like, we can't stop every citizen and make them do what they are supposed to, but the police, they work for us. So that's a whole different ball game. It's the argument don't make sense to me. But of course, Black Lives Matter. Every human matters. Well, but black people need help because we're being brutalized by the system.
Yeah. And I totally agree. I'm gonna agree to agree some more. But the thing is, the Black Lives Matter. Like I say, it's so cliche. Then it becomes a bandwagon cliche. Black Lives Matter, and then you have all lives matter. Let me explain something to you. And I heard a comedian say it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what he said and I'm going to rearrange it and put it right here on the Timeless Thomas show. The comedian said this. He said, saying all lives matter, right, is just like if your house is on fire, and you don't call the fire department doesn't come and spray all the houses down because all houses matter.
Right.
He sprays the one that's on fire.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Jay? So
yeah,
at this particular time, the black community, our lives are they really matter. They're hunting us. So, again, in another analogy he gave, which was so dope to me. Now watch this, Jay. Okay. He said that's like telling your woman asks you, and she says, "Baby, do you love me?" Mm-hmm. And that's like you saying, "Baby, I love everybody." Right. Nah. Do you love me? Okay, Black Lives Matter. And another thing that I hate is the all lives matter is like a bandwagon thing. Get out of here, other lives, and let our black life matter by itself right now. Right. You know what I mean? Because of course we know that all lives matter, but all lives are not getting hunted. Do you understand what I'm saying? All lives don't have to worry about getting pulled over by law enforcement, like you say, who works for the taxpayer. Right. They don't have to worry about the same things that we have to worry about. So black lives do matter, especially when the ultimate goal is for them to make us extinct. And we're talking about a wicked people that have the ability to do that. Just think about all the species of animals that are no longer here. From dinosaurs on up to other animals. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And these are the people that'll do it. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I had to touch on it. Don't be a bandwagon cliche person. We know all lives matter, but black lives matter. Okay, because it seems that people forget that. Every time we get shot and stabbed and kicked and jailed for all these years and different things, we need to know that Black Lives Matter.
The perfect rebuttal for that when somebody hits you with all lives matter, does, but like, you know what? I am so glad that you acknowledge the fact that all lives matters. So I know that means black life matters to you because that falls under all. So we expect your full support in the things that we're trying to accomplish in these times. And I've never had anybody that was so gung-ho as to date say and be able to say anything, because to say anything exposes who you are. What can one say to that?
Well,
it's all about words. It's the English language, right? To say all lives matter does acknowledge that black life matters, right? Because that's all lives, right?
Yeah, but it would go
so are you a racist or not?
Yeah, but see, that would be what's called, I'm going to use a Scrabble word. Every now and then I use 7 words, and when I do it, I'm using my alter ego. This is Timeless Thomas here.
Okay,
This is going to be a rhetorical question. Okay. All lives matter. It's rhetorical. So we just touched that issue. So in closing, Jay, let me thank you for coming all the way up here from North Carolina, because right now we're shooting live from Wilmington, Delaware. So that's major. This sister drove all the way up the coast, up the Atlantic coast, to land right here in Delaware for Big DZ and the Timeless Thomas show. So thank you for joining me here.
Having me.
And in closing, Jay, would you just like to tell everybody, what are you doing? What are you promoting for yourself? Here's your,
I'm always promoting positive hip hop. I'm always promoting that hip hop is in the hood. I'm always promoting businesses. I'm always promoting and trying to create for our children. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on all social media platforms that I have under The J Renee. That's TheJayrene. If you have a business idea, if you don't know what to do, if you need help with a business plan, if you hit me up on the right time, I'll read your stuff and I'll help you. Like, now, my time is now to help people. So catch me before, I'm distracted.
Do you have a Facebook?
Yeah, I have Facebook, the J Renee, TheJayrene.
Instagram?
TheJayrene.
Website?
Hiphophumanism.com.
There it is. Y'all know what it is. And before I tell y'all that y'all know how I do, I have to tell you what I have up and coming. I have a book coming out, actually, and it's called 101 Things You Should Know About Jail, with a bonus chapter of 50 things you should ask anyone returning from prison. And this book will be out in about 60 more days. I'm publishing it under Ware Publishing. And it's going to be a real dope book.
That's really dope.
It's a tell-all. It's a deterrent for those who have never been. It gives the reader an opportunity to do a 3 to 6 year sentence without ever even have to go to prison. So it's going to be a real good page turner. It's an exciting book. I wrote it from firsthand experience. And I hope everybody supports me and gets the book. It'll be on all the websites that sell that kind of stuff. And it'll also be in my trunk as I approach your neighborhood and hop out. So, on that note,
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's going to be a dope book.
Thank you very much. And we're at the 3rd week in June of 2020, just to date stamp this video. So I said it's coming out in about 60 days. So on that note, y'all know what it is. And y'all know how I do. It's your baby, Timeless Thomas, and J Renee.
Folk. Peace.